Well, today's video is going to be, dang, can you like get your words together? All right, listen. Today's video is going to be a detailed tutorial of how I make my frontal wigs. It's actually like very detailed, so if you want to like skip around, go ahead and do that. But I've filmed this like from start to absolute finish, so I want to say it's about 16 minutes, but it's good footage, I feel. And it's very instructional and beginner friendly, so I hope you guys enjoy. I hope you guys learn anything. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, like just leave it in the comments below. Just reach out to me. I'm happy to help, so enjoy. So one of the most important things that you're going to need is a dome style wig cap. I like to use this wig cap because it's really flexible for any type of head style, any shape. Multiple people can like wear the wig if you make it on this type of dome cap. So I'm just going to place it on my mannequin head pretty evenly and go into placing my frontal securely. So I do like using pins just so that the frontal is even all around and I don't sew it on wrong or uneven. And I did also want to mention that you want to put your frontal a little bit before the wig, the actual start of the dome cap, just so that when you're cutting it and when you're laying down your wig on your hair, it's gonna match your actual edges. So I'm just gonna go in and make sure that it's all straight and neat and in place. So as you can see, I've already done that. And then I'm just gonna tie the hair and get straight into sewing the frontal down. So I'm just gonna start with putting the needle through the lace and through the dome cap. And the knot at the end of the thread is what keeps it secure. So once I do that the first time, I'm gonna go in the second time and I'm gonna make sure that I'm not leaving too much space in between it so that the frontal doesn't have any bumps in it. And this part is kind of tedious, it does take the longest, but if you do it right, you will kind of like reap the benefits. So I'm gonna go with the needle under the thread to make a knot and secure that knot, and then I'm gonna just do it again. And pretty much after this it gets pretty repetitive, so I'm going to speed it up, but it's basically the same process all throughout the frontal. And so once I'm done the frontal, I'm gonna go straight into sewing my tracks in. You want to start with the longest tracks to the shortest, so I'm gonna use the longest tracks first. I'm just gonna secure the initial track onto the dome cap by sticking the needle through the track and onto the dome cap so that it stays secure. And so when doing the tracks, I like to double the tracks, meaning I'm using like 2 tracks for the initial sew-ins. And the reason why I'm doing this is because it's less time consuming, and also, as I stated previously, I like to use pins just to secure it and make sure that I'm sewing the tracks evenly across through the dome cap. So again, I'm just going to go through under the track, and I'm going to make a 2 knots. So I'm going to tie the needle around twice, the thread around the needle twice to create that security. And again, you don't want to create too much space between the track because you don't want them falling loose or anything happening while you're like brushing it or anything like that. So again, this process does get pretty tedious. Once you get the hang of it, you will, be able to just do it more easily and all throughout the tracks. And so I'm just going to continue on with the same process. For the sake of time, I kind of just sped it up because, again, this does get tedious and repetitive. So you want to make sure that you're spacing out your tracks though. So you don't want to sew on your tracks too close or too far apart. And I personally like to use all the tracks that I get. So if I get 3 bundles, like I'm using 3 bundles, regardless of how much I have or how much I don't have, like I make sure to fit it all in there. And if you do feel like you won't have enough, I do recommend like just cutting a small piece or just to save it for the front or whatever the case may be. So after that 3rd track, I'm now moving on to my 2nd track, which should be like the 2nd longest piece. So let's say you have like 22, 24, 26. You're going to sew on the 26 first, then the 24, then the 22, just to give yourself that volume layer. And to show you guys what I meant about the double track, you'll see here that I'm doubling the tracks to start off with my 2nd like I did with the 1st. So just a tip, again, you want to make sure that your thread is looking neat on your tracks. You don't want any bumps. So, and with the spacing, you want to make sure that you're not leaving too much space or too little. It really does go a long way, especially when you go into like styling your hair or styling your wig. And I also just wanted to show you guys what I do once I'm nearing the end of the track. So I do like to cut the track off. Sometimes I wrap it around, but just for neatness purposes, I cut it just so that the track stays flat, and I just start over with that same track, or if I have extras, I just make sure to sew it on. But I do put the needle through the track onto the dome cap, and I make sure to tie it 3 times because 3 times a charm. So as I said, just moving forward with the final remaining kind of like length of the track, I put my needles in and I just start over again with the sewing. And so I'm done with my second track, and that's how much space I have left. This company actually sent me quite a lot of hair, so I would definitely recommend just, spacing out your tracks, making sure you have enough for the top. And for time purposes, again, I kind of just sped up to me finishing the ending of the second track and moving forward to the third and final track. This part does get more tedious because you are moving to the front. So instead of going straight across, I might just start doing square, like sewing in the tracks squarely, so that when I get to the top, it's not looking weird or odd. So I'm just going to continue with the same movements and going in with the final and last track. This is what I was talking about. Instead of going like square, I just go straight across, or pin it straight across so that the track lays flat, or when I'm laying my frontal down, it lays flat. And so once I'm nearing the end of the wig, once I'm finishing up the top, I like to single the tracks now just with the remaining pieces that I've saved or I've left over, and I just pin them down and sew them on. And once I finish with this part, I just wanted to show you guys how I finish up the wig. And what I do is I take a single track, as you'll see in a moment, and I'll sew that straight onto the closure. So I'm going to take that final piece and sew it straight onto the frontal. My fault, I've been saying closure this whole time, but that's okay. I'm going to take that and I'm going to sew it straight onto the frontal, and it's going to lay flat so that when I lay the hair back, as you'll see, I'm going to show you guys how I put on the elastic band and how I style it. But for now, I just wanted to show you guys that the final pieces I just used to finish up the wig. And you'll see that my wig will look full. And I'm gonna cut off the additional piece of dome cap that's under the frontal, just so that it's only the frontal left, so when I lay it on my head, it's flat. And when measuring or when putting on an elastic band, you want to measure it from ear to ear and see if it fits. You don't want it to be too tight because you will get a headache, or you will kind of like suffocate your head. So you just want it to be secure enough that the wig stays in place. And I like to do this with frontals because they're a little bit less secure than closures. So I'm just going to sew that like from side to side, basically from ear to ear on the dome cap, not on the frontal though. So I'm just going to show you guys that real quick. I already did one side. I'm going to show you the other. And then I'm going to go into styling the frontal. Now you guys have pretty much seen this part like on every Instagram story or video or whatever. But I'm just going to cut the frontal to be the size and shape of my hairline. So I'm just going to cut off that additional piece. The reason why I save this part until the last is because you really want to make sure that you're customizing it to your head shape. So I would not recommend cutting it before you even place it. Don't cut it before you even place it on your head, because I've done that before. And yeah, so just wait until you're finished the wig to really measure it onto your head and make sure that it fits. And I'm just going to use some styling conditioner to lay it down before I get into cutting the lace, so that I can just see how it's going to look and the sizing of everything. So once I've done that, I'm going to get into cutting the frontal. And this part, the reason why I didn't speed it up is because it can take time. You want to make sure that you are taking your time with this so that the frontal does cover your full hairline. So I'm just going to go in with my scissors and cut through. This frontal kind of came like with a pre-made hairline, so I was just cutting like towards the shape of the hairline that it already came in. It just so happened that it fit perfectly. And this is what life is like living with siblings. No regard for anything, but brief intermission. And so we're back at cutting the lace. Once you get the hang of it, again, it's pretty simple. You just, cut around, make sure that you're not cutting any of the edges, and yeah. And so I did lay it down with a little bit of got to be glued once I finished with cutting out my edges. So I just wanted to show you guys how I make a few baby hairs just to make it look a little bit more natural. And I'm going in with my Maybelline finishing powder. I will put the link in the description box below because this powder is like my life source. I use it for any and everything. It blends really well, and the lighting does kind of show that it doesn't blend, but nearing the end of the video I'll show you guys like how the setting powder really matches my skin tone perfectly. So I just went in with some conditioner and I put that on my edges and on my hair so that it gives it the kind of wet and wavy look. I am like actually really in love with this hair. I will put the link in the description box below because this hair literally was everything. So and also the conditioner too, because I only have to use it like once and it really allows my hair to look like wet and wavy all day. So we'll definitely put the link in the description box. So I've made my edges and everything. I do hope that you guys have enjoyed this video. I'm just gonna finish it up really quickly by styling and brushing here and there just so that you guys can see how I styled it. And stay tuned because at the end of the video I will show you guys how it did look. If you did like this video, please like and subscribe and share, and thank you so much for watching. Timmy, so the dude said he wanted to take her to the bar, right? But she doesn't want to run into Chelsea. So she said no, she doesn't want to go.
Where's Chelsea going to the bars?
I don't know, bro. This girl is just being super dramatic.
I see you. You should have let someone else get security the minute you're in college.